7 News Tonight starts now.
The head of the state's Division of Human Rights in Watertown to discuss an anti-gay post made about Watertown's inaugural Pride event. Plus, SUNY Potsdam students dig for artifacts at a former Civil War site in the village. But first, as Watertown considers making changes to its city charter, the public had its first opportunity to speak with the group proposing the changes. The main topic of discussion tonight was a new requirement that some department heads would have to live in the city. Some people were concerned this would cause the city to miss out on qualified candidates. Commission Chairman Jeff Smith says his team considered the issue but felt the residency rule was too important to leave out.
To the commission, it was very important that these individuals have, quote, skin in the game, that they're living in the community where they're making decisions that are affecting the day-to-day lives of the community itself.
Current department heads would be grandfathered in. The change would only affect people filling open positions. 2 more public hearings with the Charter Commission are scheduled for the end of the month. Well, happening right now, state police are at Salmon Run Mall investigating a possible robbery at a jewelry store there. Jefferson County Dispatch says the call came in around 10 o'clock tonight. We'll continue to follow this story as more info comes in. Well, a group of parents has filed a lawsuit demanding that New York reinstate a religious exemption to vaccine mandates. The plaintiffs, represented by Robert F. Kennedy Jr., argue that state lawmakers were wrong when they repealed the exemption last month in the face of the nation's worst measles outbreak in decades. Kennedy says the move violates the religious rights of parents. Critics of the old exemption expected a legal challenge and say the change was needed to protect public health. Well, let's take a look at the weather right now with John Kubas over at the Weather Center. John, not so bad right now, but storms on the way?
Yeah, potentially tomorrow, Garrett. I'm watching an area of low pressure off to the west. That for you in a couple of minutes. All
right, John, thank you. In response to a hateful comment about last month's Watertown Pride event, the head of the state's Division of Human Rights was in the city today. Commissioner Angela Fernandez explained to community leaders in Watertown the ins and outs of the human rights law in New York. She mentioned the Facebook post that was made before June's Pride celebration in the city that encouraged a mass shooting.
We want to send a very clear message that as an agency that is part of the Hate Crimes Task Force, we will not tolerate that kind of behavior or those kinds of discussions.
Fernandez encourages anyone to report bias to any division of human rights and says if discrimination is found, investigators are there to help. For more information and a link to the Division of Human Rights, visit our websites at wwnytv.com. Well, more voices are weighing in on Watertown's tied mayoral primary and say a hand recount of the ballots should be done. 7 News reporter Aaron Bischoff tells us one of them is Mayor Joe Butler, who says City Council may vote on a resolution seeking a recount. State police have released the name of a little boy killed by a pickup truck last night in the town of Lisbon. State police say 20-month-old Elliot England went onto Bull Run Road and into the path of oncoming traffic. The toddler was then hit by a pickup truck driven by 35-year-old Darren Hitzman of Lisbon. The boy was treated by first responders but died at the scene. State police are continuing their investigation but say no tickets have been issued nor any arrests made. Well, state police say a robbery in the town of Messina last night was a family affair. 48-year-old Gerald Dissetel and his 27-year-old daughter Patience are both charged with robbery. Police say the two held a man at knife point at 170 Highland Road, taking a cell phone and more than $200 cash. Mr. Dissetel also faces charges of unlawful imprisonment and criminal possession of a weapon. He was jailed without bail. Bail for his daughter was set at $500. Well, they're digging up history in Potsdam, Civil War history. The Potsdam Museum and SUNY Potsdam have teamed up for the project. 7 News reporter Keith Benman tells us it's now or never to see what they can find. Well, teens don't usually find career planning to be very fun, but the Thompson Park Zoo is changing that. A new program, Zoo Teens, kicked off this week. Nearly 30 teens get to spend the summer learning about career planning and specifically zoology. It's a win-win because while the students are learning, they're also volunteering.
So teens get to come in and volunteer to help the keepers take care of the animals and just do some like housekeeping tasks. And then we get assigned to one of the zookeepers, and we get to go with them for the day and help them for half of the day.
Organizers say the program is a great resume builder and teaches the importance of zoological careers. Well, you had to go to the poultry tent to see the stars of Day 2 at the Jefferson County Fair. More than 80 roosters, chickens, and ducks were shown by kids in 4-H today. Janine McKnight, who runs the rabbit and poultry exhibits, says some of the animals shown here are borderline endangered.
They're heritage breeds, which means they were raised and developed by our forefathers, and it's really important to preserve those breeds for the future and to educate children about them.
Now, tomorrow is the day to head to the Midway at the fair. They'll have special deals on rides. Well, coming up, Mel has sports.
Hey Garrett, I'm heading back to the golf course, trying to work on my swing. We've got highlights in sports.
Plus, he's a World War II veteran and has spent 79 years fighting fires in Clayton. Well, tonight on Military Matters, he's a World War II veteran and a Clayton firefighter. 7 News reporter Katie Benoit introduces us to Charlie Solar.
Clayton Citizen of the Year. Katie Benoit, 7 News.
All right, John, some storms on the way.
Yeah, potentially tomorrow afternoon. We're timing out that risk and talking about the weekend in a couple of minutes.
All right, Mel, who was the first ever unrestricted free agent in the NBA to sign with a new team?
Rick Smits.
Tom Chambers.
Tom Chambers was a very good player.
Yes, and his first game with the Suns after he left the Sonics in that 1988 season, 60 points.
See, now you're just showing off.
No, I did a lot of research.
Good for you.
All right, we'll be right back.